Okay. Well, guys, welcome. Happy New Year, and Happy New Year to you, LaKesa.
Happy New Year.
I must tell you that you are actually checking us out at the Ocala Steel Orchestra's Musical Haven. This is a really wonderful space we have here to, learn music at the Lillian Bryant Park. This is in Ocala, Florida. Your host, Sean Thomas, here with, we're gonna get into some really nice talk here with LaKesa. Ocala Arts and Entertainment Podcast, we want to welcome LaKesa for taking some time to come and hang with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Let's jump in. So, stuff to unpack. Before we dive into Menaintmen-Ing,
Okay.
that's a really nice phrase. Before we get to that, before we get to It's Kesa Baby,
Okay.
TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah.
Walk us through, LaKesa, because I know you did a little bit of acting on Backstreet.
I did.
So even before we get to Backstreet, because let me tell you guys, I had a wonderful gentleman on. His name is Tikuvi Jackson, and I'm talking with his cousin now. So we try to keep things in the community.
family.
That's right. You know what I mean? So it's bubbling in one beautiful little space. When you go to those backyard parties,
Yeah.
everybody knows everybody. Oh, that's Janet. Oh, Chris. So before we get to acting, let's talk about LaKesa coming up. And are you starting off in Florida or born and raised in Florida?
I'm a Floridian.
Okay. So walk us through. So 9 years here in Florida, schooled.
I went to school here in Florida. Spar Elementary, North Marion Middle, graduated from North Marion High, and went off to college to Florida A&M University in Tallahassee.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you are in Tallahassee.
I live in Tallahassee now, but not because of school, because that was a long time ago.
Okay.
I live in Tallahassee now because I'm a learning and development consultant, and I consult in the public, the private, and the governmental sector for learning and development.
So, all right. Let's talk about how did you get into that?
Okay. I've been an insurance agent for 18 years.
Oh.
And
You
I got a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And Allstate needed some training. They were rolling out a software for their commercial business. And they called me up and asked me to come do it. And that was in 2012. And I've been doing trainings for different, not just insurance, but for a lot of the big Fortune 500 companies. They use corporate vendors, which is basically what I am, for any type of training that they want to implement or retrain. If it's a new system, I can do it. My title is a whole lot of different things. I'm either overseeing the implementation of how things will be trained and go through that whole plan, or I'm either creating the training or I'm delivering the training.
Okay, yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I know. You're trying to be like, what? Please help us learn what's happening here. So let's break this down a little bit, LaKesa. So if you were to say to someone who just heard that and break it down, I mean, what exactly goes into, let's just pick one.
Okay.
Like you have to oversee the training aspect.
Okay.
So what role is that? What kind of stuff are you doing in that regard?
All right, so I come in as a corporate vendor, meaning I'm a third party.
Right.
I'm meeting with stakeholders who've been assigned to that particular project by the powers that be at this entity, corporate or governmental entity.
Right.
And I'm meeting with them and I'm talking with them about how many employees need to be trained? How are we going to train them? Are we going to train them based on their role, the department, or their position? And so it's a lot that goes into the planning phase of how things are going to be rolled out to these existing and new employees.
So you get all of this information and stuff up front to understand what you're working with. So talk about another angle, because you mentioned about the actual, if you were to do the training, let's talk about that. Did we just talk about that? Which one
We
did
talked
we talk about?
we talked about being in the lead role.
Okay.
Overseeing it.
Right.
And then there's roles beneath that I also can do because I've done them.
Okay. So that would be the actual training side of it.
That would be actually creating the training or
Creating. Right.
the actual training.
Right.
So both.
So you now may have to, let's say you are creating the training. How do you build that? What goes in for you to sit down and now create this training program, I guess, for folks coming in? How does that work?
I have to learn a system.
Okay.
I have to learn a new system, and I have to learn the processes that match their business process. And I have to develop something that not only teaches them the new process in the system, but also to make it easier for them. So sometimes I have to paint virtual pictures. Okay, what do you normally do?
Right.
And they'd be like, okay, well, that process is now this, and this is how it's done to get you the same outcome.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Wow. Yeah, it's a lot to unpack, but it did clear things up a bit. So, all right, so insurance, and now after insurance, insurance is still happening, or we moved from insurance?
I only teach insurance now.
Or you teach it now?
I can teach you how to sell it, or I can teach you to get a license. I only teach it. I transition from selling things to just transferring knowledge.
I see. So what happened? Okay, so you, Tallahassee and school and insurance. I know there might be some more stuff before that, but this could go on into 2025.
We skipping some stuff because there's a lot. I wear a lot of hats. See,
you got to make sure you get it. That's her brand.
Don't worry, we're gonna talk about it.
We'll talk about that. We'll get to that. So insurance, what's happening? Maybe simultaneously with insurance or after insurance?
Well, after insurance, okay, I'm gonna say simultaneously and after, because I transitioned from selling it to people to teaching people. However, I can still sell it if I wanted to.
Right.
But I choose not to because it's so much easier to teach other people how to be successful and sell it. It's a little bit more gratifying for me anyway.
Right. Okay. So you are moving away from insurance to some extent in terms of its practice and teaching. What is happening in terms of hands-on stuff? What are you now doing that you are practicing? Because you're not really practicing the insurance, you're now teaching it. What's happening after insurance?
Well, after I finished that project, because what I do is I'm a corporate vendor, so I worked contractually.
Right.
So I think it was like 2 years I did it for Allstate, and I was like, okay, I like this training thing. And okay, I don't like being told no, so I'm like, all right, I gotta go learn some more stuff and get certified to do some things. I just got certified as a trainer, which means I don't necessarily have to stick to one industry because it's based on a learning methodology. These learning methodologies apply when you're transferring knowledges across the board. So I don't work in just one industry. I might be working for teaching Dominion Energy employees. I might be teaching HCA employees, Toyota, Walmart. There's not one, I'm not restricted to just working in one industry.
And this have to do with your training certificate that puts you in that position to be elusive like that. You can. What kind of training is that? How do you get certified in that area? What are the requirements to?
All right. Well, there's different companies that offer training certifications. They're not cheap, okay? Just so you know. So you got to be willing to invest in yourself. I mean, the opportunity came to me. It just kind of fell in my lap because I was one of the few people working in an Allstate office at the time that was successfully using a system that they were rolling out. And I was selling on it.
Right.
And so you can take training certifications at a lot of different places. You can go to school and take them. There's a company that offers them. Just kind of depends. I got mine years ago, so I know that some of these companies are still out there, and there's even more companies that are out there. But if you got to be willing to invest in yourself. You got to be able to learn something new very quickly, because none of my projects are the same.
Right.
I may have a repeat customer, like I've done several different trainings for Walmart per se, but I might be training your call center reps what we learned last year, but then there's new ways to do it this year. So you got to be able to learn something new.
Right. Yeah.
Systems
to keep up. Yeah. Because
quickly.
stuff is moving. Yeah. So the training now, is it a particular field? How do people find these courses or training? I mean, is it a certain kind of, what do they look for? If someone wants to become like you, what are they looking for? Where do they go?
Google certified corporate trainer.
And start from there. Okay. And then once you receive, so you have different companies that offer these trainings.
Yeah, once you decide whichever one you want to take and go through successfully, you then have to find staffing companies. There's staffing companies that are designated just to what I do, and that's all they do is match trainers, instructional designers with companies. But I've been in the business so long,
right.
They find me.
Mm-hmm. I see. So you have a reputation.
A very good one at that.
See that? So that's incredible. I love that.
And they fly me all around the world.
Oh. All right. Well, we gonna be flying soon.
If anybody,
but you need to be committed.
Right. You can't. You got to be open. I mean, I love what I do, and I've been doing it for a long time, to the point where I'm like at the senior level. I'm doing it now from home, so I don't always have to travel. But it's amazing to get free travel. I would just let you know.
So the question is, LaKesa, you're doing insurance, and you get in your way, training folks and learning stuff. How did you come across this certified corporate? What happened? Did a friend of yours, did someone you see, did you look at what inspired that for you to go in that direction?
They reached out to me, a company who Allstate. It was funny because I started my career in an Allstate office, no insurance license, no nothing, but the person who owned it, brand new office, sent me to school to get my very first insurance license.
Okay.
I've only ever, I'm counting how many I had.
Right.
I've only ever paid for one of them. However, I've had three, but I've only ever paid for one. Other companies have paid for them for me to come work for them. So I've only ever paid for one of my insurance license.
And did you, what did it feel like to be brought this to you? I mean, for the first time, and you're receiving this and you're thinking, well, what do I need to do in order to, because yes, you have to be committed and all of that stuff, but this stuff requires a certain degree of discipline and focus.
It does.
So how are you navigating, keeping, do you have some kind of support system in place to keep you,
I have organizational OCD.